So many parents have had this experience early on after finding neurologically focused chiropractic care. They get their first couple of progress scans and they get really exciting news from the doctor team. The scans are improving. There's less red, there's more green, and everything is changing, and it's awesome and it's exciting, with one big problem. The symptoms haven't changed. The symptoms are still stuck, right? The meltdowns are happening, the gut and the digestive issues are still there, their sensory processing challenges are maybe even more ramped up, and you're wondering what the heck is going on? Is this actually working? What's the point? Why am I seeing changes in the scans instead of the symptoms? That's what we want to talk about here today. What improves first? Is it the scans? Is it the nervous system? Or is it the symptoms and the life side of it? And this is going to be a really helpful conversation for both people currently under care here at Thrive, and if you are a parent looking for more root cause-based healing, looking to address the actual underlying challenges instead of surface level symptoms for your kid, this is going to really help shed some light on it and talk about how can we address those from a nervous system basis. Because there is a big disconnect, right? We associate improvements with just those symptoms because that's really where traditional medicine starts and stops. It's just what are the symptomatic changes, but that doesn't really tell us what's going on behind the scenes and what's going on at that root operating system level. And that's why the scans are so crucial to everything we do, and that's why I want to help you understand that a little bit more with this video. But first, I want to use maybe a silly, goofy joke to explain this concept of how we can be so off base with how we're thinking about these things, because we do get really trained, really ingrained to just think of improvements from the symptomatic perspective, right? That is the goal of medicine, is managing and masking symptoms. And there's a role and a time and a place for that, but it's not really what we're looking to do with Thrive. And so maybe feedback patients have given or you've heard about neurological scans is, well, they don't tell you where the pain is. They don't tell you where the problem is. So what's the point? Well, that's not what the tool is for, right? To use a silly example here, it's like if you were trying to take a patient's blood pressure with a rectal thermometer, it wouldn't do a good job because that's not what the tool is for, right? Promise that's the only rectal thermometer joke, but that's a really an interesting one to point out how that is not what we're trying to do, right? The scans don't show us where the symptom or the pain point necessarily is. It shows us how their nervous system behind the scenes is processing life so that we can get a roadmap and a game plan to undo that and get them more connected and more on track with healing and development. So what is actually going on here? Let me give you a framework of what scans are measuring. There's 3 different tests that we do here at Thrive. One is called HRV, that's heart rate variability, and it's measuring what's called your autonomic nervous system. It's how well is your nervous system adapting to stress? Are we in more fight or flight, stress and survival mode, or in a more balanced, well-regulated state? So that's one of them. It's giving us a big picture view of how are we adapting to life. The other 2, thermal scan and SEMG, they hone in on where within the nervous system are those primary findings. The thermal scan is measuring skin temperature variation. So as we do a reading rolling up your spine, the left and right sides of the spine should be the same temperature. That skin temperature should be regulated. That's controlled through the nervous system. This regulating vasodilation or vasoconstriction, the blood flow. The other one, SEMG, or surface electromyography, that is measuring when you are just seated, fighting against gravity at rest, how much work does it take for your body to maintain that posture? Are we really well regulated, or do we have this super tense, super high strung sensory nervous system that's blowing energy off through the roof? So those more or less take all that fancy explanation, simplify, dumb it down to just they detect abnormal neurological patterns. They see how well is your nervous system operating, which is the foundation of every other piece of your development, right? Your immune system, your gut health, your mental, emotional state, all of that is neurology or neurologically mediated. So we got to start there to allow all other healing to improve and develop. And that's, like I said earlier, is where traditional medicine really gets stuck. They just focus on the cause, or sorry, like completely missed that. They just focus on the symptom, the surface level side of it, without looking at the cause, right? Without getting to that behind the scenes part. Yeah, simple example again, right? Say your kid's got ear infections or they're struggling with that. They take antibiotics and it temporarily makes the pain go away, but you're never giving them that thinking, oh, this ear infection was caused by a deficiency of antibiotics, right? We're taking that, realizing it's just masking the symptom and getting rid of that temporary challenge, not actually fixing why are they getting ear infections? Why is that plumbing system or that ENT system not draining well? That's what we want to get at. Another illustration for you, think of if I were to look out the window here at Thrive and say there was a downpour, there's a storm, there's lightning, there's thunder going on, and it was intense. But then on the radar, we see that, hey, coming along the way, there's clear skies on the horizon. That's what scans can really help us do, is see, hey, on the horizon, heading in this direction, if we continue, we're gonna see some good stuff change symptomatically, right? The weather is changing as that horizon, as that future view catches up with it. So to answer this question from earlier, right, what happens first, scans or symptoms? Not every single case, but the majority of the time, it's the scans. It's the nervous system that we've got to get healing and unwinding before we start seeing surface level symptom changes. That doesn't mean there's no movement on symptoms before we get to the bottom of all the neurological changes. It just means that the big stuff, the fully getting through it, probably is going to take time through getting the behind the scenes part figured out. And that is the key word, time. Healing takes time, guys, especially with some of our more deeper, complex, neurologically rooted challenges, right? We call it the perfect storm, stuff that's been there maybe since prenatal stress, or they've had some significant birth trauma, birth intervention, they were a colicky baby. Basically, the earlier these challenges started, the more locked in they are and the longer it's going to take to undo in the future. So that is really key, is we've got to unlock that ability to heal. We've got to rewire those neurological patterns, but then it still takes time to regroove that, to change that neuroplasticity so that the symptomatic side of it will change too. So parents, kind of the final takeaways, if you are looking for this root cause based help, if you are looking and you're stuck because you tried all the gut and the immune detox and the supplements and you've done all these other things already and you're not seeing the changes you want, maybe the nervous system piece of it is what's missing. Or parents, if you are already here at Thrive, if your kids are already going through care and you're in the middle of this and you're like, hey, I'm seeing the scan changes, I'm not seeing the life changes, use this message as hope that that is coming, right? Think of the radar. Skies are clear in the future. We just got to stay the course, make sure that that underlying healing takes place, and we'll get them there.